You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
(0318) or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up, there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac Magee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines 2 of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, sports fans, the Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, in Noonan, Georgia.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We've got a heavy slate in the NBA tonight. The Atlanta Hawks, at 13-11 on the season, travel to the New York Knicks. The Knicks are 2 games under 500. The game is at 7:30 Eastern. Can be seen on Bally Sports Southeast or ESPN. The nightcap on the ESPN doubleheader, Boston Celtics travel to the Phoenix Suns. Celtics 20-5 on the year. Suns are 16-8. Other games of interest around the Southeast, the Clippers are at the Magic. That game is a 7 o'clock tip-off. Hornets are at the Nets at 7:30. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're at the Memphis Grizzlies. That game is at 8 o'clock Eastern, Valley South Sports East in your area. Southeastern Conference action in men's hoops tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. It gets started. Number 7 Tennessee Volunteers host Eastern Kentucky on the SEC Network. The Vols are 20.5-point favorite. Florida Gators host number 5 UConn, 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Huskies come in as a 4.5-point favorite. And at 9 o'clock Eastern on the SEC Network, Vanderbilt Commodores host the Pittsburgh Panthers. Vandy is favored by 3.5. The over-under 136.5. Other games in top 25 action tonight. Purdue is at home against Hofstra, 22.5-point favorite. 144.5 is the over-under. And Nebraska is at number 14 Indiana. That game can be seen on the Big Ten Network at 8:30 Eastern. The Hoosiers, 12.5 the favorite, over under 134.5. Major League Baseball free agent news, Aaron Judge signs a record deal to return to the New York Yankees. He'll be in the pinstripes for the next 9 years at $360 million, $40 million the AAV. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
Yesterday,
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory. From the halls of MTSU to the shores of Tripoli, we can fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our monarchy. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Braves Country, and we are streaming on YouTube.com. We're streaming on a number of things, and let me go ahead and start my cameras. I'm a little behind here on the on everything that's going on, but we will get it going here. Little thrown off by some technical difficulties on a couple of different ends. Man, Yahoo's mail was down today. Is really frustrating. I thought it was the browsers that I had, and I would start on computers. I finally realized, I go, man, this is a Yahoo thing. But anyways, we are off and running here on Braves Country here on WQEE. Make sure you like and subscribe us today. Also on YouTube.com. We're there every single day, and we're also going live on Facebook and Twitch that we just started, which I'm still learning the ins and outs of Twitch, but we are rocking and rolling here in a busy day in sports, especially if you're a baseball fan. And if you haven't gotten caught up to speed on what is going on in the world of baseball, let me go ahead and hit you with the stuff that happened late last night. Cody Bellinger was signed by the Cubs for a 1-year deal, and so 1 year, $17 million. Okay, whatever. But then the Cubs turned around late last night. I mean, we're talking about, now I realize they're out in the West Coast with the winter meetings, so it wasn't quite as late out there, but it was around 12:01, maybe even 2 a.m. when a 4-year deal for the Cubs came in for Jameson Taillon, who pitched very well last year. We'll see if he can keep it up. He's had some injury issues. He also had some consistency issues, but it looks like he put it together last year. Remember, he got traded from the Yankees to the Cardinals, and the Yankee fans were furious about it at the time. But anyways, he goes to the Cubs, 4 years, $72 million. And then Mitch Haniger goes to the Giants, and when it happened, I was communicating with a couple of the guys that are in the business. Does this tell you that he's going to the Yankees? And I said, I don't know. It's not like he's really that Aaron Judge is going to the Yankees. And he basically, they all kind of scoffed at it and kind of said, well, I don't know, because they could be signing him and Judge. I'm like, maybe, but that tells me that they don't feel good about it. Well, sure enough, this morning, about 8:30 in the morning, I think it was, the New York Yankees signed Aaron Judge to a historic deal, 9 years, $360 million, 40 AV, highest for a position player in that length. And he'll go back to the Bronx. They're going to put a C on his chest. All that stuff was worked out in the details. And other than that, we have Other things that went down, Kenley Jansen, 2-year deal, goes to the Boston Red Sox. And also along with the Boston Red Sox move, and so they get Kenley Jansen. You do wonder if the Red Sox are going to go out there and add other players, but they get Kenley Jansen. And then what I think was a huge deal, and I was surprised by the number, Wilson Contreras goes to the St. Louis Cardinals for a 5-year, $87 million. I think it's 87.5. And then, of course, Jose Quintana, 2-year, $26 million. And it says, got here, looks like the Rays have traded left-handed reliever Brooks Raley to the Mets for pitching prospect Keyshawn Askew. Not really a big deal there, but as far as the big deals that are going down, Wilson Contreras to the Cardinals, which I know that's got to bother a lot of Cubs fans. You know, he was the last guy that they kept, that staple realistically from the championship team. And then what ends up happening is now they're going to have to face him on a, I guess now it won't be quite as bad because starting in 2023, you only play your division rivals 12 times. But Wilson Contreras being a Cub has got to be weird. It would have been just as weird for me if you would have seen like Dansby Swanson go to the Phillies. We'll see where he ends up, but I doubt that he goes there now after the Trey Turner deal. But a lot of this stuff is rolling in, and I think we're going to get more and more. I would be surprised if Dansby Swanson isn't signed by sometime next week. Now, I know he's getting married this week, and that's the big thing, but that doesn't mean that his agents are not working and that his agents won't contact him. Because when it's all said and done, this contract he's going to sign is going to change his life forever. And so he could get signed this week. But now that the big chips have fallen, you got a couple of things. Aaron Judge and Trey Turner. So you have the biggest hitter on the market gone, and you have the biggest shortstop on the market gone. That's when things start to fall into place. And it sounds like Correa is being wooed pretty heavily by Minnesota and by the San Francisco Giants, because the Giants lost out on the Giants lost out on Aaron Judge, and they lost out on a couple other players, but the big one is Aaron Judge. They want to bring someone. I find it interesting that that's their pivot, because they do still have a really good shortstop, a Gold Glove shortstop, but his offense isn't quite there. So it'd be interesting to me to see where they would put Correa, where they would put him on the infield. Would he go over to third? Is he willing to do that? Would he go to short and they slide someone else over? You know, a lot of balls in the air, but it's really interesting to see how everything's playing out. And now you've got Brandon Nimmo. I think he's going to be one of the big time ones. And so when we talk about this in a few weeks and all the dust is settled, another one out there that heavy rumors are Xander Bogaerts and the Red Sox are maybe close to making a deal. Now that one doesn't seem as imminent as the Contreras deal. A couple hours ago, I saw it basically being a done deal. And then maybe a half hour later, they said, okay, it is a done deal. So with all that being said, the big name players are coming off the board, and they're coming off rather quickly. You know, you've had basically 10 big deals out here in the winter meetings, but normally you get about 5. So, and granted, this is a big market this year compared to others, but you still have a lot of big names that are out there. Not only is Dansby Swanson out there, and not only is Correa out there, but what about Carlos Rodon? Where does he end up? right? And if you look at what the Braves have done already, if it's been too fast for you, here's a real catch me up. So Kenley Jansen is gone. He went to the Red Sox, but no one thought they were bringing back Kenley Jansen anyways. Only way they're bringing back Kenley Jansen if he's willing to play for a lot less just to stay in Atlanta, and he's willing to not be the closer. Because the Braves basically made a trade for their closer for the next couple of years when they made the Iglesias trade last late July, early August. So he's gone. Jesse Chavez comes back. They did add Nick Anderson. He used to be an elite closer. Now, the thing about Anderson now, he's 32. He's coming off some injuries. We'll see what happens. I don't think that's a big move. But if he can bounce back, and he's just trying to bounce back so that he can get a big contract the following offseason. It was just a 1-year deal at essentially minimum salary for a veteran. But you've got Dansby Swanson out there on the free agent market. Adam Duvall could be something that could come in. Now I'm looking at a site that I go to for most of my keeping up with the all the different contracts, and they're saying that Dansby's market value is creeping up around $25 million. So they have it pointed at 24.8. 24.8. And if you go by what David O'Brien of The Athletic, who's covered the Braves for years, he thinks that the Braves are trying to bring him in at 22 because he's going off of what the others signed. I'm sorry, but you can't compartmentalize Dansby Swanson in with the rest. Not only is he a veteran and proved his worth, but he has all the intangibles. If he brings in a 24, 25, I don't think that's outrageous at this point, because you got to look at the market value. You can't look at, well, that's not what I make a year, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, you also can't play shortstop at an all-star level. Neither can I. So we can't compare what we make a year compared to what Dansby Swanson is going to bring in. Conversely, Adam Duvall, they're saying Adam Duvall's market value right now is almost $7 million a year. He is going to be 35 next year. He'll be 34 at opening day, but he'll be 35 eventually next year. I would be shocked if the Braves pay Adam Duvall that. Now, I could see the Braves bringing back Adam Duvall, but considering his injury and considering his age, I'm a little leery of that. And they're saying Robbie Grossman, his market value right now is up around 7. Now, that is what they're saying when they compare their statistics, whether it's WAR or what have you, and they compare it against guys in that same range, and it's kind of a sliding scale, right? Robbie Grossman's not going to get any kind of long-term deal at $7 million. He's just not, okay? He could barely hit his weight last year, but he is a solid player, and I would love to see him come back in some kind of a platoon role. Same thing with Adam Duvall. I think Adam Duvall is worth a little more, and it's kind of funny that they're only separated by 1 year. And I believe Adam Duvall is a much more dangerous hitter. Plus, Adam Duvall can play everywhere in the outfield. You can put him in center to give Michael Harris days off. So everything being even, I would love to have Adam Duvall back, but we're talking about a 1, maybe 2 year deal that the Braves will. And I mean, that's a huge maybe. I don't think it's likely, but it's a huge maybe. Most likely what I figured that they're going to have is they're going to wait to see what happens with Dansby. And then if Dansby does not sign, there's rumors out there from Mark Bowman that Elvis Andrus could be coming to the Braves. And of course, not only, and it's funny, he mentions this good relationship with Walsh back in their days of Texas, but also Elvis Andrus is an ex-Brave. Everyone forgets he was a part of that deal. I think it was 2007 where he got traded, where the Braves made the big trade to Texas. I believe that was the Teixeira deal, if memory serves me correct. But he went to Texas on a trade. A lot of Braves fans, including myself at the time, were really disappointed. That'd be kind of cool to see him come back. And obviously, it would be a platoon role. He would come back, and that would give you a way to groom in Marquise Grissom. And then, of course, Andrews could spell a lot of different positions and give some guys days off throughout the infield. We got Ozzie Albies coming back, but he's not coming back healthy. He's not coming back healthy. So a lot of these things are coming into place now. And I just, at this point, I want Dansby Swanson to sign somewhere. That's kind of where I'm at. Sign somewhere. Because if he goes elsewhere, and don't get me wrong, I want Dansby back, but if he goes elsewhere, you just pick up the pieces, and not only would they go most likely, because it's fool's gold to think that they're going to bring in Correa at a ridiculous rate when they couldn't bring in Dansby. I think it's more likely that they do something like an Elvis Andrews and then go for a bigger bat in the outfield. And there are some bats out there. Now, I've talked about this before on the guy that I would like to see come in. If we can't get Dansby back, I would love to see Brandon Nimmo, but I just think he's going to get, I think his AAV is going to be too high. And plus, was looking it up last night. I had to double check. Scott Boras is his agent. So you want to pay a Scott Boras outfielder? I mean, there is no telling. A Scott Boras outfielder who had basically a career year for himself coming out of New York City, the sky's the limit on what he could possibly being paid. And if you're looking at some of the teams or some of the other players that could be out there, looking at guys that are actually available, because Aaron Judge, Haniger, Jock Peterson, he has a qualifying offer from San Francisco, and he did take that. Someone was messaging me the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but I didn't see it till much later, so I didn't mess with it. But he did accept that qualifier. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're Jock Peterson, $19.6 million, when last year on the free agent market you got a 1 year, 7 year deal. I mean, a 1 year, $7 million deal. So he's off the market. But as far as guys that are available out there, and can people quit bringing up Jason Hayward? They bring Jason Hayward back. He is literally going to be a guy at the end of the bench. He would basically be a new version of Heredia, who went overseas, took his talents overseas. I believe he went to the KBO is where he ended up at. But some of the guys that are still available out there that you could get, and it would be interesting, one would be Michael Brantley. And they're saying that his market value is $8 million. I find that interesting. And the other guys out there, Will Myers, but he's 32, and they're saying his market value is $11 million. AJ Pollock, same situation, 35, market value $12 million. I just don't see them going for that. I think they would more likely go the cheaper route and then maybe make a trade towards the end of the year. Some other interesting guys on the lower end, guys closer to what we were talking about with Duvall, that are available out there. You got Benintendi, who is much higher. I think he ends up back in New York. Boss is making a run at him too. But he's asking, or his market value, they're projecting him 17, 18 million a year. That just isn't happening. But Brandon Nimmo, problem with his market value is 21, almost 22 million a year. It's 21.2 right now is what they're saying. The interesting thing about that is that that's right around the wheelhouse of where the Braves have been. He's 29 years old. How long of a contract they would give a Brandon Nimmo, that's the question. But when you see some of the other guys that are available, he's by far, in my opinion, the best outfielder out there. And even for the dollars, he's worth the market value. Benintendi, I'm not sure. Benintendi's been in slumps. He's been injured, etc. Okay. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some football. There's a lot of stuff going on in the National Football League, some injury updates, and some college football news. We'll be back in a flash here on The Key and on youtube.com/@BravesCountry.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see your practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
It's time to live, laugh, and create memories again with MSC Cruises. Join us on some of the world's most modern and innovative ships. Discover again at our new private island, Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve, named Best New Cruise Destination. Cruise the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami or Port Canaveral. Book now with free balcony upgrades and flexible booking changes. Call your travel advisor or visit msccruises.com. Restrictions apply. MSC Cruises, a world of discovery.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Wendy's only makes one kind of breakfast, your new favorite one. How do we do it? With fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, and flaky croissants. You know, the things your old breakfast wasn't doing. So toss that old news and its soggy eggs somewhere useful. And get to Wendy's, with a sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant, and honey butter chicken biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Single item at regular price. Price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's.
You're listening to Braves Country. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@BravesCountry.
What are you thinking about? Marriage? Family? Well, they're prisons. Man-made prisons. You're doing time. You get up in the morning, she's there. You go to sleep at night, she's there. Yeah, and you can forget about watching TV while you're eating because it's dinner time. And you know what you do at dinner? What? You talk about your day. What was your day today? Did you have a good day today or a bad day today? Well, what kind of day was it? Well, I don't know. How about you? How was your day?
Armchair.
Welcome back. Riding shotgun with you here, heading towards the 5 o'clock hour. We'll be here from 3 to 5 weekdays. And if you missed some of the ins and outs, real quick, Jose Quintana to the Mets. Judge is staying. He's a Yankee. Bellinger and Taillon to the Cubs. And Dansby and Correa are still free agents. So there we have that. All right, let's go ahead and get you caught up on the National Football League. There's some injuries that have been going on, and contrary to previous things that have been leaked out there and talked about, Von Miller is done for the year. Von Miller is done for the year. Von Miller is ACL surgery, and earlier we had heard that Von Miller could be back in a few weeks, could be back in 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. And now they're saying, nope, he's done. ACL surgery out for the year. So with that being said, man, do they have a lot of things to deal with there in Buffalo, because he was making that defense a Super Bowl champion defense. Can they get back to that level? Because they've got a tough stretch. They got a big game this weekend, but they knew they weren't going to have them this weekend, and I get that. But when you start seeing that, and you see the knee injury with Lamar Jackson. Now they're saying that could be between 1 and 3 weeks, and I guess that's good news in theory. In theory, for the Ravens, 3 weeks worst case scenario is what it sounds like. And if that's the case, look, bullet dodged, right? But I thought it was interesting. I saw something earlier that was a little humorous to me. I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. But if you remember, Richard Sherman played in the league for years. And now he's got like some kind of a podcast or something. He was saying that if he was Lamar Jackson, because they haven't signed him to a long-term deal, and considering how serious his knee injury could get, if could it get worse, etc. He was saying Lamar Jackson should just sit the rest of the year and basically say, I'll see you at the negotiating table, and let Tyler Huntley do the rest. And Huntley has actually played admirable. Remember, he came in last year. It was a thriller against, I kind of expect this Pittsburgh-Baltimore game to be a low-scoring game, but a thriller. And Huntley played really well in his absence before. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you want Huntley to be heading towards the playoffs. And I'll say it again, the Bengals are now a plus 125 to win that division. They are dead even with the Ravens in the division. They do play the Ravens one more time, and that game is in Cincinnati. And I went ahead and took it. I'm taking the Bengals to win that division. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And there's a couple of other interesting ones that you can do. I put a parlay together on divisions that I think are basically done. Some of them have higher odds than others, but if you parlay them, you can basically get, I think I got close to a minus 200. I think it was minus 190. And it was the Titans to win their division, the Bucks to win their division, because I don't see any, after they came back and won that game against Nolens, I think it's over. Kansas City to hold on and win their division. The Eagles in Minnesota. That's what it was. It was those 5 teams. And I think it was a minus 190. You combine them all together and you put that on as a 5-team parlay. And I know that sounds like a lot, but when we're this late in the season and teams have this big of a lead, I probably just jinxed one of those teams, but you would think all 5 of those teams are going to cruise to victory. I didn't feel good enough about the 49ers. And even with the good news of Jimmy G not needing to miss the entire season, they thought he was going to have surgery. They're saying that's not the case. They're saying now he could be back sometime in January. The question remains, is that late in the season January? Is that first round, second round playoffs January? Is that NFC Championship or Super Bowl January? And that's the big question. I stayed away from that. I think they're a minus 400 at this point. And that really, you want it to be a situation where they do make it that far, right? And a situation where you would love to say, hey, I think the 49ers can do it. But they got a 1-game lead on Seattle, and we haven't seen Brock Purdy really man the controls. He's got a talented team around him. And I know the team and I know the players love playing with them. So I respect the heck out of that, right? Respect the heck out of that. But that doesn't mean that they won't turn on him in a couple of weeks if they drop a couple of games. And when you look at the 49ers, which is a pretty good team all in all, the first game that they're going to face is this weekend at home against the Bucks. And I know the Bucks have looked to see how a lot of chinks in their armor, but you're still talking about Brock Purdy, a 7th round draft pick, rookie, going up against Tom Brady. Now, you don't think there's going to be some bumps in the road on that one? After that, they got to go to Seattle. And that could essentially be for the division. That game is on, see, that's the 15th. That game is on a Thursday night, and that is the one that we're bringing to you on YouTube. We're going to be on YouTube, and we'll be on a couple others. I'm not quite sure if we're going to be on the Key yet. We haven't gotten that back together yet. Remember, we're also doing the Army-Navy game on YouTube on Saturday. That game's a 3 o'clock kickoff. But the Seahawks game's a week from tomorrow. That game could be for all the marbles, essentially, because it's in Seattle. It's going to be Purdy. We know that. We would hope that all the guys stay healthy on both sides, but you never know what the injury situation will be a week from now. But it'll be the 49ers in Seattle, because after that, the 49ers host the Commanders, and then they're at the Raiders, and then they're at home against the 49ers. If the 49ers can find a way to win this weekend at home against the Bucks, and the Bucks, remember, they're coming off of a short. These are always the bets that I love, especially an older team like the Bucks, coming off on a short week on a Monday night, and they got to go out west. So there's all kinds of jet lag that can be involved in, and it's a 4:25 kickoff, but it's 1:25 local time. So you're talking about an early kickoff for them. So it's not like it's a night game. So that's going to be a huge game. And if you're wondering, well, where does the tiebreaker come about? If the 49ers can find a way to win this Sunday, and then they go into Seattle and win the game, the division's over, because they would have the tiebreaker. They won the first game against Seattle early in the season. I think a lot of folks wouldn't even remember this, week 2, and they throttled them 27-7. Now you're talking about a team in San Francisco and Seattle who are fighting for the division down the stretch. And it's going to be a fight. It's going to be an absolute dogfight these next couple of weeks. But if the 49ers can come up on top, I'm not going to say that they could just put it in cruise control, but they can kind of relax, because they'll essentially be locked into the 3-hole, because they would have beaten the Bucks. So they'll have the tiebreaker on the Bucks. That would give them a 3-game lead going into next week on the Bucks, but really a 4-game lead with 4 games to play. So that's over. I don't think there's much of a chance of them catching Minnesota for the 2 seed, so you wouldn't sweat that. And the 2 seed doesn't get a bye anymore. And they're not catching the Eagles on the 1 seed. So with all that being said, these next 2 games for the 49ers are huge. And the division, the 49ers are undefeated in the division. Same token, the Seahawks are 3-1. So if the Seahawks can find a way to win next week and pull even with the 49ers, then we're talking about a fight down the stretch to figure out where they're going to be. But big games coming up, the National Football League. And this time of year, like it always is, you're affected by your health. Because the old saying, availability is the best ability, that's more true in the National Football League in December than any other sport at any other time. Couple of other notes to make with the NFL. Jimmy G coming back, Von Miller. We talked about that. And I do want to double check to make sure that there hasn't even been anything else come across the wire, because so many things come across. Baker Mayfield will be active. If you missed that, but Baker Mayfield signed with the Rams, and he will be active week 14, but they do not think he's likely to play. I would be shocked. I know that they're beat up and battered, but if Baker Mayfield goes in and plays, what part of the playbook could he possibly know at this point? So Baker Mayfield, I believe, is going to be on the bench, and that game is a bit of a snoozer. Raiders-Rams tomorrow night, 5-7 versus 3-9. And once again, Amazon Prime has got to be ticked off about the slate that they've gotten. And they can't really blame anyone but themselves and whatever team they put together that chose these games. Whoever chose these games, whoever chose these matchups, that said person will most likely be gone in next year, I would think. Or if Amazon doesn't can that person, whoever made these final decisions, Amazon definitely is going to move their availability over. They'll be in charge of making sure that your cart's full, because they have had a just horrendous game after game. And some of the matchups you'd say, okay, that's a little shocking that that one didn't, that A, that one wasn't a good game, or B, that this game isn't meaningful. But you got to be better at this if you're picking these games, if you're Amazon, because most fans could have told you Rams Raiders. I know people were excited about the Devontae Adams, but the Raiders was a huge gamble to put them on in December. Now the Rams, not so much. Defending world champions, I get it. I get why they're on there. But you also got to pigeonhole yourself, because you're putting Las Vegas and Los Angeles up against each other. People east of the Mississippi, most of them aren't going to tune in. I'll do what I normally do. I have several TVs in my studio and in my living room, and normally what I do is I'll have a game on mute. So I'll have it on, but I won't be locked into it. I won't be listening to it. That game, you could not get me more uninterested in a game than Rams Raiders tomorrow night. It's just, I don't even think I have any fantasy players involved. That's a rarity, because I usually have someone on from some team. I know I'm new to the key, but for folks who haven't heard show before, about 32 to 35 leagues every year. This year, I had actually dialed it back. I counted it off. I'm in 31, but I'm trying to think. I might have a couple of shares of a couple of the players now, but I did not go into the season drafting anyone big, and anyone that I may have had, other than Cooper Kupp, but he's been on the IR forever. But anyone that I may have had, I would have kicked to the side anyways. At one point, I had some shares on my bench of Cam Akers, but that was more of a hoping you get him late in the draft and he turns into what he was before the injury, but they've given up on him. It's Kyron Williams is basically taking over that role. All right, we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, talk a little more football, what's going on in the world of college football, and get you caught up on some of the things that are really popping off as we are getting really close to transfer portals coming clean, and also, of course, National Signing Day. And more football and more NFL and MLB on the way. We will be back in a flash.
I mean, it's not easy being me. When I was born, the doctor told my mother I did all I could, but he pulled through anyway.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it, because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. Touchdown! But wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
So make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown. Okay, I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call.
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I had the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Learn more at sunny.org.
You know, the great thing about being a football player is you don't have to take a shower to go to work.
You're listening to Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Now, it used to be I ran to get where I was going. I never thought it would take me anywhere.
Who in the hell is that?
And there's Forrest Gump. Just a local idiot. And can you believe it? I got to go to college too.
He must be the stupidest son of a alive. But he sure is fast.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. Yeah, the armchair quarterback.
Welcome back here as we ride with you here in Braves Country on the Key and on YouTube and Facebook and everything else. I do want to make sure that we do remember today. I think that the further it gets from the date, the more and more you see it almost ignored. I'm not going to say quite ignored other than on your news channels, but today is the attack on Pearl Harbor, 1941, December 7th, where Japan attacked the Midway Island, and always want to give pause for that. My grandfather was out there. He was in the Navy. He was in the Pacific in World War II. I think I might have said World War II. And my other grandfather was over in the area of D-Day. So those 2 days are always big for us. And you'll see as we come around on the calendar that we always celebrate Veterans Day. And of course, we always celebrate Memorial Day and everything. And just want to thank all the young men and women who are serving today, and anyone, we're losing a lot of them, but anyone that might still be around the greatest generation that may have been in that fight or may have went into combat because of that attack, we thank you very much. Getting back to the world of sports as we'll try to transition, there is some big news in the NBA. Chris Paul, it looks like he's going to make his debut tonight. The Suns are at home, so it's a late start. More power to you if you stay up that late, but it's a late start. He's going to be at home against the Celtics. And so I am a Celtics fan, but I tend to record those and watch them in the morning condensed, because I'm not staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning to watch an NBA game in the middle of December. But it should be interesting to see, the Celtics, if you haven't been paying attention to the NBA, Celtics are absolutely look like the odds-on favorite to represent the East and possibly even win the NBA title. They got knocked out by the Warriors last year in the finals. That game is there will be a rematch this Saturday night. Remember, there's no football, but this Saturday night, there will be Celtics versus Golden State Warriors, and that game's, I believe, 8:30 on ABC. So check your local listings there. The Suns, by the way, they're 16-8, and they're leading the Western Conference. So I know a lot of folks don't really get bogged down into basketball until we get past the Super Bowl. I watch the Celtics. I watch some of the Hawks, but I only watch it when I see it on national television. I don't have the package. I get the package for Major League Baseball, and the rest I just try to catch, because there's so many games on for free. Well, not for free, but if you already have TNT or ESPN or whatever. So I don't see the point of going out and getting the NBA package. But the Hawks tonight, they're going to be on TV, and I plan on trying to check in to see what they look like, and haven't seen them play in a few weeks, but they are 13-11. I do like the Hawks. That's always been kind of my second favorite team over in the East. and living in all places in the Southeast, the Hawks have always been pretty close to me. So I usually get to see them go back to the days of Dominique Wilkins and Spud Webb and whatnot. They are at the Knicks. The Knicks are 11-13. Hawks got to get a win there, and I believe these are the types of games that you need to win because they pile up as this 82-game season goes on. And I do believe that the Hawks are going to be in the playoffs. I'm not concerned with that. It's more the fact of where your seating will be. So kind of a big game for the Hawks tonight, and that game's 7:30 on the national ESPN feed. So I do plan on checking that out a little bit. Back to football. Tomorrow night, you've got the Thursday night prime game, and we went over that. I just the line is Vegas -6 and the over-under is 44.5. If there was one line I would probably be willing to take, it'd probably be Vegas -6. I feel like that they would cover it. I really do. But even with that being said, I think I'm staying away from it. It's just a terrible. And if you've watched the games this year, that Al Michaels Kirk Herbstreit marriage is not working. Neither one of them are doing a bad job, but there's no chemistry between those two. And because Al Michaels has been so great for so long doing the NFL, and Kirk Herbstreit has been so great for so long doing college football, it's either A, their personalities don't mesh, or B, it's what I suspect, which is Kirk Herbstreit's not that big of an NFL fan. And it was kind of a reach for Amazon to put him in where he's at. I would have liked to seen anybody who was a big-time NFL fan in place, whether it was an ex-player, but those usually don't work out well. Your ex-players doing color commentary is usually terrible. But there's all kinds of guys that are out there and some ex-players that are more than qualified to have been with. I think they were trying to get a splashy hire. And there's no way Herbstreit's putting his all in there because he's still doing the college football. So anyways, that's your game tomorrow night. Let's fast forward past that because seriously, who cares? By the way, have you noticed something? I don't know if you've noticed something. December, well, the weekend of Christmas and Christmas Eve. I know it was announced last year, but I think it kind of went by the wayside. There is your majority of your games are going to be put on Christmas Eve. That's number one. There is a Thursday night game. It's Jags and Jets. And as of right now, we're planning on broadcasting it on the Braves Country YouTube channel, Braves Country HD. The only way that does not come to fruition is if something happens personally, but I plan on doing it. So that's December 22nd. And that's going to be a big game for the Jets. It should be a fun game because you should get Mike White versus Trevor Lawrence, and that should just be a fun game of young quarterbacks. But if you look at the slate on Christmas Eve, you got a lot of 1 o'clock games. You have 2 4 o'clock games. One is the Commanders and 49ers, and then the 4:25, which is kind of the national game. That's going to be Eagles Cowboys. Okay. So Eagles Cowboys, 4:25 on Fox. That night on NFL Network is Raiders Steelers. And I know at the time, the NFL thought, man, this is great. We're going to get 2 big name teams going at it. Raiders and Steelers, let's go. But NFL Network doesn't have the pull that a Sunday night NBC game to be a flex. So that's a game you're stuck with. And I think that's a good thing because we can all hang out with our family and someone ignore the game. Even if you have it on the background, you're not really going to care about that unless you've put way too much money. And if you put a bunch of hay on the Raiders and Steelers, who are right now both 5-7, on Christmas Eve, seek help. But the thing that I think I forgot about is that there is a triple header of National Football League football on Christmas Day. I really don't know what I think about that. I do know what I think about this. I really would like to see them possibly flex. Right now, the 1 o'clock game is Packers-Dolphins. The 4:30 game is atrocious. It's Broncos and Rams. Holy cow, is that going to be a bad game? And these guys and gals that work for CBS and Fox and NBC, they've got to go in for this. So anyone you see on their pregame shows, they're going in for this and working, right? Not to mention everybody who helps that run. They don't just flip on a switch and start talking football. The Boomer Esiasons and Bill Cowers and who do they have over on Fox? Michael Strahan and company. They've got, you got cameramen, you've got, cameramen and women, you've got producers, all of them have to go in. But can you imagine having to go in on Christmas Day to leave your family so you can go and make sure people are getting geared up for Broncos Rams at 4:30 on Christmas Day? Holy cow, is that going to be a disaster? So that's the 4:30. That's 4:30 game. The 1 o'clock game is Packers-Dolphins. And I would like to see Packers-Dolphins be flexed because assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, that would be kind of fun to watch. Aaron Rodgers versus Tua on Sunday night football, which would be Christmas night football. Usually by Christmas night, everything's kind of over, right? You've opened up the gifts. The people who want to go out and hit the bars, hit the bars. People want to stay home. They're kind of winding down. You might go out and hit the movies. Nowadays, they have movies that come out specifically to stream breaking out on Christmas. But the 8:20 game is going to be Bucks and Cardinals. And though the Bucks may have a winning record at that point, the Cardinals are atrocious. Can they please flip-flop that? But I think the problem is going to be they chose two games in the late window that are both being played on the West Coast. So how are you going to flex Bucks Cardinals to a 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock game? I guess you could in theory. But then you've got Broncos Rams that you'd have to put at 1 o'clock. So that's 10. So that's the problem. It's not going to happen. 10 o'clock in the morning is not going to happen. The only other thing that they could do, they have done in the past, they could flex a Saturday game into a Sunday game and vice versa. But I don't think they're going to do it because, the perfect scenario would be Eagles Cowboys. But I just don't think that's going to happen. So that's where you're at come Christmas Eve. But this weekend, there's some real interest in games that are being played this weekend. You got Bucks Niners, kind of talked about that. Dolphins Chargers is interesting. That's 8:20 kickoff, and it's a 52 over under. I think that assuming Tua's ready to roll and everybody's healthy in that game, I think that game is going to be an absolute barn burner. I do believe the Dolphins are going to win, but that's going to be a fun one to watch. And the Chargers have to win that game. They have played terribly this year. If they want any chance of making the playoffs, they got to win that game. But other games that you've got Jets and Bills. And by the way, Buffalo's down a 9.5 point favorite. If you remember last year, that was the game. Mike White came off of a big game, I believe, against the Colts, and he came in the next game. He went up against Buffalo and threw like 4 interceptions. So this game's personal for him. He doesn't want to be so terrible like he was, right? He still has all eyes on him. He knows he's got Zach Wilson chomping at the bit to get in. He's got to play a good game against Buffalo. Couple other games that mean a lot when it comes to, by the way, next hour, Doug's on the way, and Doug will be, we'll be talking a little fantasy football and then of course the wagering action of it. But I'm looking at games that are going to mean something in the standings. Eagles, Giants. Giants are at home. I get the Eagles are going to be a huge underdog. They're going to be a huge underdog. There's no way. The Giants are going to be huge underdogs to the Eagles. Excuse me. What is it? 7? It was 8. It keeps sliding up and down. But that would be a big upset if the Giants were to play. I think the Giants can do it. They play that close to the vest kind of football, and the Giants need a win desperately. They've got such a tough schedule down the stretch. Right now, they got the number 7 seed, the last seed in the NFC Plus. If you haven't looked at this, they're going to play the Eagles. Then they go back to the Commanders next week. So that's playing the Commanders twice in 3 weeks. And the Commanders are not a bad team at all. And then they got to finish it off with at the Vikings, at home against the Colts. So they get kind of a catch your breath kind of moment. And then they got to finish out the Eagles. So this game is huge to the Giants, not just because it's a division game, but also because of where they are in the standings for the NFC playoffs. Okay, we have got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into some college football. The Georgia Bulldogs are in the semifinals, taking on Ohio State. And, of course, you got Michigan and TCU. Where'd those lines go today? And who should you be laying the hay on? We'll be back in a flash here on The Key and on Armchair Quarterback Radio. You're listening to Braves Country. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We've got a heavy slate in the NBA tonight. The Atlanta Hawks, at 13-11 on the season, travel to the New York Knicks. The Knicks are 2 games under 500. The game is at 7:30 Eastern. Can be seen on Bally Sports Southeast or ESPN. The nightcap on the ESPN doubleheader. Boston Celtics travel to the Phoenix Suns. Celtics 20-5 on the year. Suns are 16-8. Other games of interest around the Southeast. The Clippers are at the Magic. That game is a 7 o'clock tip-off. Hornets are at the Nets at 7:30. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're at the Memphis Grizzlies. That game is at 8 o'clock Eastern, Valley South Sports East in your area. Southeastern Conference action in men's hoops tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. It gets started. Number 7 Tennessee Volunteers host Eastern Kentucky on the SEC Network. The Vols are 20.5-point favorite. Florida Gators host number 5 UConn, 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Huskies come in as a 4.5-point favorite. And at 9 o'clock Eastern on the SEC Network, Vanderbilt Commodores host the Pittsburgh Panthers. Vandy is favored by 3.5. The over-under 136.5. Other games in top 25 action tonight. Purdue is at home against Hofstra, 22.5-point favorite. 144.5 is the over-under. And Nebraska is at number 14 Indiana. That game can be seen on the Big Ten Network at 8:30 Eastern. The Hoosiers, 12.5 the favorite, over under 134.5. Major League Baseball free agent news. Aaron Judge signs a record deal to return to the New York Yankees. He'll be in the pinstripes for the next 9 years at $360 million, $40 million the AAV. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. Saturday, December 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern, it's the Army-Navy game. Army Black Knights go head-to-head with the Navy Midship. An American Classic that dates all the way back to 1890. The Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Network will be there bringing you the action. The 121st meeting, Army-Navy, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/@BravesCountry.
What about Kelso? I mean, Jackie has him totally whipped.
Ribbed like the family pig.
I am not pig whipped.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute? I love Little Bites. I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay? Got it. As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious. I love Little Bites. Here you go. Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
Like, I don't like winter. Like, I hate winter. Like, I'm originally from North Carolina, and like, look, I hate winter so much, I'm for global warming. I am voting for it, marching for it. I might start buying people SUVs. I don't care. Ladies, start using hairspray again. No ozone. That's our goal. And see, there's people with me, but there's always a couple of crunchy granolas sitting around. Crunchy granolas sitting there thinking, but the polar ice caps are gonna melt and we're all gonna flood. No, we're not. We're not all gonna flood. We're only losing Rhode Island, Long Island, and Jersey. Bye-bye.
Armchair.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country, with Mac Magee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and youtube.com/Braves Country.
Ready for the big day, opening day, big game? Mash, we stink every year. This is not a big game. Yes, it is. It's not a big game. Yes, it is. I blew off my daughter's ballet recital for this. I've seen your daughter dance. She sucks. No, she doesn't. Yes, she does. Which one? Ballet or tap? It all sucks.
Marie, you're a beautiful dancer.
Atrocious. Ugh.
Johnny.
Unwatchable.
Stop it.
It's awful.
Lovely.
No, it's not lovely. Someone's got to tell her. It stinks.
Want to chime in? Give us a call. 678-960-9700. That's 678-960-9700. Welcome back, Braves Country. Taking you all the way to the 5 o'clock hour. Doug will be here in just a few minutes, and we're going to get into the NFL, but wanted to get into some college football as we're getting closer and closer to the bowls, which will start a week from Friday. And after that, it'll be an absolute tsunami of bowls that are just going to come flooding at you. There's a doubleheader that day. I think there's 5 the day after, and then pretty much every weekend rolling into it. One of the things that when you look at the bowl schedule, because remember, they're always having to dance around the NFL. They don't want to compete with the NFL per se. But it's very interesting to me that Saturday, December 24th in Hawaii, and I know it's traditional. I think it's always been called the Hawaii Bowl. They're calling it the Easy Post Bowl now, which I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's their sponsor. Middle Tennessee and San Diego State are going to be playing that night. The over-under is 49.5. San Diego State's a 7-point favorite. Now, I lived in Middle Tennessee. In fact, I at one point worked for Middle Tennessee State. I was a chef there, and that's been almost 10 because it's been about 10 years ago almost. Yeah, 10, 11 years now, I guess. But the point is, my heart still kind of resides with the Blue Raiders, so I will be pulling for them. Middle Tennessee has been a dangerous team. And remember, Middle Tennessee went into Miami this year and beat the Hurricanes? I think everybody thanks you, other than Hurricane fans, but, you know, all 7 of those. They're going to be playing San Diego State, 8 o'clock on ESPN. I find it interesting that they're going to go head-to-head against the NFL that night. But considering what we just talked about, there's a good chance at that Saturday night game, Raiders-Steelers, I'm probably going to be watching the bowl game. San Diego State, Middle Tennessee, it's much more interesting to me. So maybe you find a way to make them both interesting and you put a teaser on them. Who knows what that line will be with the Raiders and Steelers. It's in Pittsburgh. I would think Steelers would be a slight favorite, but you could put some kind of a teaser there to make that one interesting. But as far as the bowl games that are coming up, you know, we kind of went over the ones yesterday on the first batch. Remember, this Saturday we're going to be doing the Army-Navy game, 3 o'clock Eastern. And that's on youtube.com/@BravesCountry. If you're searching it, just look for Braves Country HD. We'll have it on Twitter. I think we'll have it on Facebook. Depends on it if they've figured out their technical issues there. But that game, by the way, that line has moved considerably. And this is telling to me. Army-Navy is now Navy -2.5. When that line first opened up on Monday, it was a pick 'em. That is a huge swing. A huge swing. 2.5 points. You don't see that very often. Not in this short a period. You're talking about in less than 48 hours. Because when we came on Monday at this very time, it was a pick 'em, and now it is a 2.5 point spread. So someone has laid some ducats on Navy at the Caesar Book out in Vegas. But the other bowl games to look forward to, we talked about this yesterday, but there's a few games of interest that Friday and Saturday of next week. I really like the UTSA Troy game. I'll be interested to watch that. The morning game, first of all, it's a weird time. I don't know why they didn't play one of these games at night, Friday night. I can't imagine what would be going up against them. But then the 3 o'clock game, UTSA Troy, that is a really fun game. Looking forward to that one. That Saturday, we talked about this before. What's Florida going to look like with a quarterback with no experience going up against Oregon State, who's been a pretty good football team? Cincinnati, Louisville. That's a game that's on next Saturday. SMU, BYU. You got a full slate. Actually, there's 6 games. I thought it was 5. There's 6 games. That Monday, Marshall, UConn, that's not going to really turn the dial. The first game that I say is really going to get you locked in as a college football fan. If you're an SEC or ACC fan, Wake Forest, Missouri is a good matchup. It should be a fun matchup. Missouri's a tough team. Wake Forest has a very difficult offense to game plan against. That game is at 6:30 Friday, December 23rd. We talked about the game that's on the 24th. They do not have a game on Christmas, thankfully. But then you get to the following week, and this is heading into New Year's. We all know that that's traditionally college football. You get rolling with the New Year's Eve and whatnot. The guaranteed rate bowl, though it's a late kickoff, is an interesting one. Wisconsin, Oklahoma State. I love that matchup, but it's 10:15. That's one of those ones I'm probably going to record and watch the next morning. The following day, that's the day, December 28th, that's when we start really getting some good matchups. The Kansas State-Arkansas game right now, Arkansas is a 3-point favorite. I think if I was laying with any of that there, I would probably take Arkansas minus the points. Man, that over-under is at 68.5 now. It's raised a couple of points. Oregon, North Carolina, that's your game on December 28th. And that over-under is at 71. 71. Oregon's a 13-point favorite. The Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State's a 7.5-point favorite. That's been pretty much standard there. It'll be interesting as that game gets closer. I think that line will come down because I think you suspect a lot of your bettors are going to take the Sooners because they're a national brand. So if you like Florida State in that spot, and I think they can cover that spread, I would wait because I don't think it'll go up. I think it'll go down. Notre Dame, South Carolina, to me, on the 30th, that is must-see TV. It's just a shame it's in the middle of the afternoon. That same night, Tennessee, Clemson. But let's fast forward all the way to New Year's Eve, Georgia Bulldogs, undefeated, going up against Ohio State, and what you can expect for the two of those teams going into that game. Ohio State, their top receiver, Jackson Smith, I believe his last name is pronounced Nigba. Jackson Smith Nigba, or JSN as a lot of people call him. He's not going to play. He's focusing on the NFL draft, and he's done. That's kind of a big deal. Any chance that Ohio State had of pulling that off, I don't give him that chance anymore. I think Georgia's going to beat them, and I like him to cover the spread. That 6.5 to me seems low, and maybe Vegas thinks they've got something figured out. They want you to take the defending national champions. Oh, they can win by a touchdown. Let's go. And maybe they have it figured out in their algorithms that Ohio State can cover that spread. I just don't see it. I think they're going to have a hard time moving the ball. Georgia's going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And Stetson Bennett, to me, is extremely underrated in the college game. I don't know what Stetson Bennett's going to be in the NFL. But I think he could at least be a Taylor Heineke. I feel like he can be a little better. A guy who's got some mobility, who's a proven winner. You put him in the right situation with a talented team, I think he's got a chance. I really do. But I don't think he gets a lot of respect. I still think the newness of Georgia being so dominant may be catching the national audience or the national bettors by surprise. I don't know if for some reason they think last year was a fluke. Georgia was a heck of a football team. This team is a heck of a football team. I do think last year's team was a little better. But that just means they might win the national championship by a few less points. Because the only team that I think that can square up against Georgia is Michigan. But they'd have to play a perfect game. The only team that can beat the Georgia Bulldogs in the United States in college football is the Georgia Bulldogs. If Georgia goes out there and comes out flat, how could that possibly be? You've got 3-4 weeks to prepare for the first game. So I just don't see the flat. If they go out and they turn the ball over, if they make mistakes, that's the only way Georgia's going down. Georgia is going to win that national championship back-to-back. I would be shocked if it's any other thing. And they're still not that big of a heavy betting favorite. I think yesterday I looked at it, it was a minus 135 for them to win the national championship. Considering how good, and maybe it's a couple of the games that they struggled in. But first of all, they found a way to win all of them. The Missouri game, if you watch that game, it was a really funky game. It was a night game in Missouri. The weather wasn't great. That's really the only game that I could say that they actually struggled in. They dominated Kentucky. I know they only won, what was the score? 16-6. They dominated Kentucky. Mississippi State, they dominated. Georgia Tech dominated. LSU blew them out the water. Tennessee Volunteers were never in that game. Gators were never really in that game. They pulled within like a couple of scores at one point, but Georgia finished them off. I think at one point they might have been up by 8, but then Georgia just put them to bed. They shut out Vanderbilt 55-0. They blew out Auburn. Kent State, no problems. A very good South Carolina team we see now, though they're playing much better football now. They tore them to pieces. Blanked Samford. And let's not forget the first weekend, the first game of the season, Georgia looked like they were playing a different sport than Oregon. And Oregon came into the season number 11 in the country. They're still in the top 15. They beat them 49-3, and it wasn't that close. So I think you can get some value on taking Georgia. I've already taken them in a tease because I wanted to tease the other game. So all I need is for Georgia to win. But I wouldn't be – I typically don't double down on games, so I don't take a -6.5 and a tease because – if something goes wrong, then you just basically get your socks knocked off. But I wouldn't have an issue if I hadn't already put that teaser in and taken Georgia -6.5 because I think they win that by 3 possessions, 17, 21 points. It wouldn't shock me at all. All right, we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, Red Raider Doug's going to join us, and we are going to be talking the NFL and what's going on in the world of Major League Baseball free agency. Good Lord. It's coming out of whirlwind, and we might have some other news. We'll be back in a flash here on the Key, and you're listening to Braves Country with the Armchair Quarterbacks.
On a beer? 7 o'clock in the morning. Scotch?
Armchair.
It's time to live, laugh, and create memories again with MSC Cruises. Join us on some of the world's most modern and innovative ships. Discover again at our new private island, Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve, named Best New Cruise Destination. Cruise the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami or Port Canaveral. Book now with free balcony upgrades and flexible booking changes. Call your travel advisor or visit msccruises.com. Restrictions apply. MSC Cruises, a world of discovery.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. We cover Braves baseball, Red Sox, Yankees, Rays, Cubs and Cardinals, and the rest of Major League Baseball every day. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
How to improve your dining room by the Home Depot. New wood floors, new paint on the walls. Sure, you know us for that. But how about a new dining room table, matching chairs, bar stools? How about free and flexible delivery with easy online returns? Now you can explore decor in a whole new way. Save now on furniture. Everything for your home. Everything from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done. Limitations apply.
This helpful instructional message from the National Association of People Who Have Trouble Walking and Chewing Gum at the Same Time. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time on WQEE.
Is this the suicide talk or the nickname talk?
The nickname. George, what is that? It's nothing. It's got no snap, no zip. I need a nickname that makes people light up.
You mean like Liza?
T-Bone.
But there's no T in your name. What about G-Bone?
There's no G-Bone.
There's a G-Spot.
That's a myth.
T-Bone, the ladies are gonna love you.
Light it up, and we smoke. Keeping high up off the ground.
Welcome back. We're coming to you live from Armchair Quarterback Studios, Braves Country, 3 to 5 weekdays here on the Key and on all your streaming platforms. Just search Braves Country HD and you'll probably run into us somewhere. Welcoming on to the show is Mr. Doug Salfisberg. Doug, Red Raider Doug as we call him, or Dougie Fresh. How the hell are you, Doug?
I'm doing good. Excited to be on this new network. It looks great.
Yeah, did some investigating and with the help of one of our contributors, Tones, and then also reading up on some other things, we decided to go with this. And I think it looks a lot better on all the, whether you're on YouTube, we're going on Facebook, Twitter, and I always forget about Twitch. We just started the Twitch channel. I don't even think we have a follower on Twitch yet, but anyway, you can share them all at once. I said, yeah, what the heck? We'll just see where it goes, where it takes us. But YouTube's the one that we typically like to, steer people towards, just to kind of keep everybody in the same room. But, and also, of course, 99.1 FM here, the Key in Noonan, Georgia, in the Atlanta, Georgia market. What is the big of all the things that have happened over the last, I'll say, we'll put it 72 hours, right? Since Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What is the single biggest move that has you going, wow, in Major League Baseball?
This might surprise you. You might think I'm kind of dopey. I think the biggest move, the one that's kind of excited me the most, I guess, is just now Wilson Contreras going with the Cardinals. I think it's significant for the Cardinals and obviously significant for him. And the fact that he's staying in the and the Cubs are going to have to see him a lot next year. So I thought that was kind of significant.
I was surprised by his AAV, considering I think that he is one of the better catchers in baseball. You're talking about Contreras, Wilson Contreras, right?
Yes.
And it was 5 years, 87.
Yeah.
So that's below market value of what, if he would have been, they don't use the term franchise tag. It's slipping my mind in baseball, but basically the franchise tag where they get the 1 year deal and you can either match it or not match it.
Right.
That's around 19 million this year. So he didn't even average that. And I find that incredibly interesting.
Yeah, that's when I say surprise, I'm looking at it from that angle too. I think, look, with Wilson Contreras and the Cubs, it was done with. It was done. Look, it's been kind of done with them for 2 years now. And I think he just grabbed the first thing that satisfied him that he could get. I think he was just desperate to get out of there and grab the first thing he could, which that's where it surprises me. I would have thought he would have been a little bit more patient and see if there were other takers, but I understand it.
So the other thing that really interests me in that is that the Cubs didn't want to bring him back, because I feel like that's very affordable. And we hear that the Cubs are out there talking about bringing in Dansby Swanson, Correa.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposedly in on the sweepstakes for a couple of the pitchers, but I never really believed any of it. But so, the point is, for 87, they could have brought Contreras back, and I think that would have energized the fan base. So I don't know what the Cubs are doing.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand it.
They went 4 years, 72 million on Tyon. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a higher AAV than what Contreras got. And with the new DH rule, it's not like you're worried about an aging catcher who can hit, because you can slide him into the DH role.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that one's a head scratcher. And I was thinking that the Cardinals got one. How the Cardinals going from Yadier Molina, who is retired, to Wilson Contreras, you could almost point it to be like, remember when Peyton Manning left the Colts to go to the Broncos and they just fell backwards into Andrew Luck? That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you're a Cardinals fan right now, you should be pretty excited.
I would be through the roof if I was a Cardinal fan. You got a good team coming. It looks like Waino wants to come back. That's what he's talked about. I don't think they finalized that deal yet, but he did say he was coming back to play for the Cardinals. So if that's the case, man, they've got a good team, and you got to figure Jack Flaherty is going to be better than what he has been, right?
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
I mean, I don't know if he'll ever get back to the 2019 form. They did lose Tyon in the free agency, but that's not really going to hurt them per se. And I'll have to double check that, but didn't they give him a qualifying? That's what they call a qualifying offer. Didn't they give him a qualifying?
Oh, Taiwan. Yeah, I think they did. Yes.
Here we go. Let me see. Is that what that means? I don't see it listed here. So maybe they didn't give qualifying offer, but they hurt someone in their division. Like, I hate to say it this way, but almost like spiritually in the Cubs by taking Wilson Contreras, right? Jameson Tyon, if he did get the qualifying offer, and for whatever reason it's not showing up here, it normally shows it whether he is or not. But if he did get a qualifying offer, that means that they would also get that draft pick back that they would have lost for signing Wilson Contreras. So anyways, what about the Mets going out and losing out on Jacob deGrom, but they come in and they bring in old man Verlander on a 2-year deal, and then add Quintana. Jose Quintana was added this morning by the Mets. And Quintana to me is an interesting one because he pitched well down the stretch.
Yeah.
He has been inconsistent in his career. What say you?
Sure. Yeah, well, across the board, I mean, I think from if you look from Mets management, I think they did pretty well. I mean, you lost DeGrom, you gained Verlander, you get to keep a certain amount of money. There's savings on that switch out. You've got a Cy Young winner that's probably going to win you some games for the next year or two. So it's worth the money. But as far as Jose Quintana, I think that's a cross-board trade. Losing Taijuan Walker and then replacing him with Quintana, it's kind of a nothing burger. I mean, it's just you switched out one for the other. So and everybody, you're going to get what you're going to get from Quintana, which is average baseball pitching. And Taijuan Walker, I mean, he played well, but I don't think he lit it up last year.
No, but you've also got a guy that normally goes to the post. He hasn't had a lot of injury problems in his career, so and it was very affordable.
Right.
It was 2 years, 26, so averaging 13 a year. Look, he's obviously back of the rotation guy. He's not come playoff time. You don't want him as your number 3. But one of the guys that I find interesting that we haven't seen an update on, let me double check and make sure that he hasn't gone somewhere, but I don't believe that he has, is their other pitcher on the market. Now Taijuan Walker went to Philly.
Right.
But if you look at Chris Bassett, and no, he still is on the market. That's what I thought. I didn't think I missed that. They're throwing his market value at 21 a year. He's 33 years old. He'll be 34 by opening day. I think he's looking for a 2 to 3 year deal at least. He's probably asking for a 3 or 4. Would take a 2 or 3. Do the Mets bring him back? Because he was pretty darn good for him, but he also wasn't necessarily that number 3 pitcher you want in the playoffs because he got tattooed towards the end of the season.
True. Knowing the Mets, I would think they'd give him a qualifying offer of 2 to 3 and put that feeler out and see where it is. I think they want to keep him. I mean, that's the indication because I only see a team like maybe the Padres or maybe even the Cubs maybe making a play for him. But outside of that, I could just see him re-signing with the Mets. And I can see that 3-year, maybe a 2-3 year, $27 million contract. Because they have the savings from DeGrom. They all have that money that they don't have to pay DeGrom now. So I figure the money's there to keep him. So I could see him staying right home.
Now the thing about the Mets, they were talking about this morning in New York, is the fact that they're already at. Well, this is by the way, breaking news. DJ Lagway, the number 1 dual threat quarterback, according to ESPN 300, number 12 overall, he has committed. Of course, he can't sign yet. He is committed to the University of Florida. So that's interesting, considering that they just lost Richardson. They had that scandal with the child pornography with their backup quarterback. So it's interesting that they get the number 1 dual threat quarterback, and he'll be headed to Gainesville. Look, supposedly we're still 2 weeks away from signing day. So I don't trust any of these kids until it's on the dotted line. I've seen it too many times. Heck, last year it was so last year, the year before, the kid that Hunter that sure enough they just showed Dion on TV. Hunter that had said he was going to Florida State forever. Signing day, he flipped the last second and went to Jackson State. So I don't trust any of these kids until they've signed it. So all these rankings it's one of the reasons why I don't cover it as much, because you see so many kids now. Once they on National Signing Day, you better believe we're covering it wall to wall that day, December 21st. It's huge. It's an early signing day period. It's a very small period, and it's going to be huge. But until we get to that point, I don't get overexcited about this. But anyways, back to the free agent talk. We're looking at probably in the next week or so, I think most of your guys are going to go off the board, because all we were waiting for was Aaron Judge to come off the board, Trey Turner to come off the board, Jacob deGrom to come off the board, and for that matter, Verlander. And so now it's been set. The highest tier has been set. And you're starting to see guys like Cody Bellinger come off the board and whatnot. But Braves country, I mean, the Braves fans are like, would you freaking sign anybody? I don't care who it is. Now, go ahead.
Get your guy signed. I don't know what you're waiting for. Or maybe he's waiting. So I would think you would hear something about that.
Evidently. He's getting married this week.
Oh. Okay. Well, you can do 2 things at once.
Exactly.
Just sign it and go on your honeymoon.
It almost makes me wonder if they're waiting for the Correa deal to come through to see what Correa gets. And then, of course, Xander and Dansby were viewed upon about the same.
Yeah.
Correa
and already go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Correa was viewed as possibly being able to get more than Turner, or at least as much as Turner, and if not, then a ring below it. I think he's going to get more than Turner. I think Correa is, how old is Carlos Correa nowadays? He's right in that
29. He's 28 or 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought that he was in that same wheelhouse because he was a free agent last year, and because of the holdout, he just signed a 1-year deal and said, let's go. But you've got, and now there's reports coming out that the Braves have been in talks with Elvis Andrus. That tells me that they don't feel very good about Dansby coming back.
Oh boy.
But Correa, yeah, he's 28 and he just turned 28. So he'll be 28. So he is about 1.5 years younger than Trey Turner. Viewed upon every bit as talented. Defensively, he's phenomenal. His bat, I don't know. His bat compared to Turner's bat, what I like about Turner is he's a 5 tool. You can say even 6 tool. There's 7 tools. If there's 8 tools, Trey Turner's got them all, right?
Yep.
Carlos Correa last year, I think he had 64 RBI, little over 20-something home runs. He didn't have a great year, but they're still saying his market value is sitting around 31 million. Or almost 30.
It's there with him. Well, I was going to say with Correa, it's there. The star power is there with him. He early on in last season, he had the injury bug through almost like the first quarter of the season. He was on the bench, not playing. So there's a lot of inconsistency from injury with him. He had some nagging injuries, just drive you crazy. But there's a span of time towards the end of the season where he went on a hot streak and showed why he's one of the top signing players that we're talking about today. So he kind of saved the season and saved his bidding power towards the end of the season. So that's why his market value.
At the market value. So obviously we know what Trey Turner got. He got 27 a year for 11, but he got 11 years. The big thing is he hit the 300 million. 11 years could take him to age 40. He's set. Correa's 31 is what they're saying.
He's 31.
Almost 32 market value. So if he gets a 10-year deal, we're talking about 320, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then Xander Bogaerts is just below that. I actually thought he was closer to Dansby. He's closer to Correa. They're projecting him 29 to 30. Now he's 30 years old. So the difference is going to be, I don't think he's going to get a very long deal. I think he's going to get 5, maybe 6. And they're saying that the Red Sox are getting close to possibly signing him. Then there's a drop off. Dansby is just around 24 to 25 per year. And then after that, Jose Iglesias is the next highest one at 5 a year. That's a huge drop off. And then Elvis Andrus, they're projecting at 4.5 a year. The rest of them out there on the free agent market, they don't really have a quote unquote market value because they're not looked upon as, they're basically more likely to get minimum deal, maybe even some of them getting a minor league deal with an invite to Major League camp. We've got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL and get you set as we're heading towards week 14 of the NFL. And Doug, in his fantasy football, what's going on with your team, Doug? We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country here on the Key.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right at 1 second left. What a play by Bird.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Out of the shotgun, 3rd down and about 10. Ward getting some pressure, getting more, gets it away. He's got Fryer wide open. Touchdown, Florida State. That's what Warren will do to you.
Georgia Tech 45, Nebraska 21. It's now up to the voters. They look like the number one, don't they?
All right, 6 seconds to go. Maurer throws it up for grabs. There's 5 defenders back there. Game runs out. And Clemson wins the national championship of college football.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
And for Miami, an absolutely miracle year. The dream season as they come back from a bad loss opening day to go to 11 straight wins and in all probability when the votes are in, a first ever national championship for the Hurricane.
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time on WQEE.
Yo, you don't even know what stupid is. It's about to get all stupid up in here.
Unoriginal melody. Why did John Lennon have to be the one to get shot? Something's wrong.
Welcome back. Braves Country here on the Key. Of course, the Key is the home of River Dragons hockey, and it looks like they've got a full weekend coming up. Friday night, 7:05, the puck drops, and 6:05 on Saturday night. Of course, you can catch River Dragon hockey right here on the Key. Okay, Doug, it's the nitty gritty. I'm gonna pull out my phone because for whatever reason, Yahoo has been spitting the bit today on their desktops, both their mail and their everything. So I'm going to go to my phone. So I do apologize having to put glasses on, everything like that. But if we're going to talk about week 14 in the draft or in the fantasy football season, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The draft.
You're already giving up.
Well,
sorry, I have to put my glasses on too.
I got some teams that, yeah, I got one team that I think I need a miracle to make the playoffs. The rest of them I'm in pretty good shape. I should make the playoffs in most of the leagues. There's a couple. There was one that I was like, even if I win, I'm going to need help because of tiebreakers. So biggest question heading into week 14, when you're looking at some of these injuries, first of all, is it time to trust DeAndre Swift again? Because I don't know if it is. Like he had a bounce back game, but what's stopping him from laying an egg and Williams getting all the carries this week against Minnesota?
I took him. I've got him in one league right now.
I saw it,
and that was desperation.
And I've got him in a few leagues. I picked him back up. But I've got Williams in those same leagues, and I'm almost at the point where I'm scared to start either one of them, but you want to start them because they're playing Minnesota's defense. But Swift, man, he's at this point where I have a hard time. Like, I have to see it 2 weeks in a row, I guess is where I'm getting at.
It's always so weird with pick like Swift and leagues and stuff I've done in the past. If last year is an indication as far as, and I'm strictly talking about luck, picking up somebody who's going to have a good game this week, picking up Swift for me reminds me of last year. I picked up Rashad Penny just because I had to, not because I liked him, not that I cared about him. And he carried me through the rest of the playoffs. I mean, through the last 2 weeks of the season and all the way through the playoffs. So I just got this gut feeling that Swift is going to play well this week. Just like I said, I have no logical reason to think that he will. I just like the matchup.
Okay,
I think Minnesota is.
He had 18 touches last week, 111 yards, snuck into the end zone. And that sounds great.
Yep.
And then I open up the app. Swift limited in practice today because of an ankle injury.
Okay, I didn't read that part. I thought, okay.
He is made of glass. I mean,
Yeah, he really is.
And I drafted him in way too many leagues. I made that mistake because I thought I was getting good value. And he's got talent. But here we go again. So,
okay.
And I'll be
Maybe
honest.
I'll have to go back to the drawing board and try somebody else.
I'll tell you something else. As a guy who's a Mixon / P-Ryan owner, I hope they give Mixon. I hope they give Mixon another week off. Because when P-Ryan plays, I guess because they don't care about his workload, they just feed him to death. He had 21 touches, he had 27 touches last week. And they're going up against a bad rush defense against Cleveland. I really hope that he stubs his toe or something and can't play this week.
Actually, I need Mixon this week. I need Mixon to play this week because
pick up
what's that?
Pick up P-Ryan, or is he already gone?
No, because Mixon is expected to play this week. If I remember correctly, here. I'll look real quick.
He is, but he hasn't been
cleared.
He's not practicing. So yes, as good as mine. I've got one league where it matters to me because I have Mixon, because I have Mixon, I have P-Ryan. I don't have Mixon in any other league, and because of that, I don't care. So I didn't pick up P-Ryan because I didn't want to be in that spot. But man, he has really taken off.
Well, just to let everybody know, I just read it. Joe Mixon put in a full day's practice today. Just so that indicates to me that he's going to play this week.
Okay. I just saw the questionable tag, so I wasn't sure about all that.
Yeah, they haven't taken it. But yeah, they literally just about 30 minutes ago, that came across in his bio, came across in his log that he committed to a full practice today. So
I'll tell you what, if you're in a deep enough league and you got them both, I would start them both.
Yeah,
because
I would agree.
Because him coming off of a concussion, he very well could end up getting 10 to 12 touches, and then they get a good lead against Cleveland, and then it becomes the go ahead and take the rest of the day off, and it's the Magee show.
I can see that happening too.
If that's a league you need a W, I would just be hesitant. I would be hesitant. I'd be making sure he doesn't have any hiccups. Nothing.
Well, the thing in my leagues, I have riches. I'm in the playoff. We play in 5 leagues, and I'm already going to be in the playoffs in 4 out of 5 of them. I'm fighting right now. If I win, I get first round buys in 3 out of 4 of them. But I gotta win to make sure that I get the buys. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now.
What league are you possibly not making the playoffs in?
I think that's the old school league.
Okay.
That's old. And either win or lose
inside using the internet. That was a terrible situation. We did a league this year where we did it old school, and we'll do it again like that where we just handpick the players. And it's fun, and it was fun to do the first year, and this year we did it, and one of the knuckleheads in the league talked me into doing it outside because I have a pool, and we're going to do it out by the pool. It was so dark you couldn't see anything up there. We should have just kept the thing inside. I should have just told you talk about a smoke them if you got them, friend. That's one of them right there, and he's talked me into that, and it was a terrible decision. So it's one of my worst teams, but I think I'm going to make the playoffs in it. Barely.
Yeah, you should, because I guess win, lose, or draw for us. If next week in the playoffs I play you, because whether you're 4th or I'm 5th, we would play each other next week. So I think that's where we're heading next week.
Yeah, because I don't think I would fall well, no, I wouldn't fall to 6th because if the team behind me won, I would have the tiebreaker on them. So, anyways,
yeah.
Moving on from that, looking at some of the guys that could be good contributors for you if you're looking, and I'm talking about deep dives. I'm not talking about these leagues like a lot of us have where there's only 8 or 10 teams. I'm talking about guys that you might be looking at that you might be looking at them as being down on the list. Like I'll tell you one, for instance, Dante Foreman, excuse me. Now, he didn't practice Wednesday because of foot and ribs. That makes me nervous. But a lot of these guys don't practice on Wednesdays because this late in the season because they're banged up. But Foreman's got a chance, I think, to have a pretty good week this week. And he is, I know he's going to be in Seattle. But Seattle's run defense is not that great. And they've been gashed on the ground recently. I mean, look at what Jacobs did to him. So whether you're talking about starting in fantasy, you're talking about hitting player props. I keep calling him Dante Foreman is one of the better player props that I've had all year long because he is undervalued because he's a Carolina Panther.
Right.
Time I go into his player props, he's always well below market value. Do you have any guys out there that you're like, okay, they're saying that, he's not going to be necessarily a great matchup, but I believe that he could go off.
I only wanted
Mike White against Buffalo, and he doesn't have a good rating, et cetera, et cetera. I've got to figure, unless that, now I'm going to check the win before the game starts, but unless that game is in terrible weather, Mike White is going to be playing behind, and game script matters and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I want a quarterback whose team is losing because he's got to chuck it around in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I think Mike White's going to be chucking around in the fourth quarter, all right.
I do, and I think he can get you 2-3 touchdowns, close to 300 yards passing. And today's NFL, this year's NFL, that's going to put him top 10.
Well, that'll also come down to if it's necessary which Jets defense shows up. The one that people have been grabbing up and playing great, or the one that put out a stink field last week. That'll come down, and that'll. Okay.
Okay, so here's the deal: the Jets defense actually played really well in the second half. They got in the first half. They made. Now, do I think they're look? I looked at the Jets defense a long time ago when you talk fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
They have matchups in the playoffs. So I dropped them leading in. They have terrible matchups in the playoffs. Even the game at home against the Jaguars are putting points up. So they have, as far as like an actual defense and real football talk, I think they're going to keep Mike White and company close. And I think the Bills are going to give up points. I think it's going to be a fairly high scoring game. And going back to what I was saying a second ago, I want to see where we're at before we have to run out of here. Do they have? I don't see the rushing props yet. All right, I guess I'll have to revisit that later in the week. I guess a lot of that has to do with injuries come up and they take them down. But usually Foreman is around the mid 60 range on the yard props. I think he's going to blow right past that. We're going to have to jump out of here in a few minutes. What is your walk-off for the day, Doug?
Oh, we were just talking about the baseball trades. Just a quick thought. the Padres were willing to give up more money, bigger contracts to Trey Turner and Aaron Judge. And both of them refused more money. They'd rather take less money and go to the teams they went to. What does that say about the Padres?
It says more about the state of California and their taxes.
Interesting.
That's what it. And look, not that New York is great. California taxes are horrendous, and from my understanding, that's got a lot to do with it. Now, Turner, I think, might have to do more with the fact that his wife's from the Northeast. She's from either Jersey or Philly. She's from right there in that area, so that might have had a big factor to do with it. And maybe Judge just wanted to go back to Yankee. But I do think there is something to be said. And that's what I said last year. When Freddie Freeman took that deal for the Dodgers to go to the Dodgers, he wasn't making more money in the end because he was going to get hammered by the taxes. And it really came more of a pride thing. Dansby Swanson better pay attention to the same thing, because if you take off and you go elsewhere, especially if you go somewhere like the Dodgers, their tax codes will break you. All right, we got to take off out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 to 5. Tomorrow, Justin Waller's with me, and we'll be talking a lot of football, see what he thinks about those Vols. Doug will be back with us next Wednesday. We'll see you next Wednesday, Doug, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one, and stay locked in here for Farrell Coast to Coast here on The Key.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Gonna get another cigarette, please. Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Saturday, December 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern, it's the Army-Navy game. Army Black Knights go head-to-head with the Navy Midship, an American classic that dates all the way back to 1890. The Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Network will be there bringing you the action. The 121st meeting, Army-Navy, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/@Braves Country.